So today's video is the first time tag, and no, this is nothing inappropriate or dirty for those of you who think that way, but this tag has been around for quite a while. It first kind of started out around blogs and stuff, then moved over to YouTube, and it's basically a series of questions about your first times of doing stuff. So your first word, the first time you went on a holiday, the first tweet, the first profile picture, the first book you read, the first kiss, all that kind of good stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, the first question on here is, what was your first car? My first car is a Fiat 500. She's called Rosie and she's really cute. Next one is your first Facebook profile picture. Quite horrendous. I'll put it here for you so you can all have a good laugh. Do you still talk to your first love? I think love is a really tricky one to kind of talk about or to say. Like, I'm 19, so I don't. I think previously, when I thought I'd been in love, I haven't been, which I think everyone has kind of experienced that. So either way, like regardless whether I was in love or not, no, I don't still speak to anyone that I've kind of been out with. I just don't at all really. What was your first alcoholic drink? My first alcoholic drink was red wine, which probably explains why I'm such a kind of wineaholic. But it was at a New Year's Eve party that we used to have, and my dad and my uncle like got all these red wines out and were like trying different tastes, and me and my cousin, I think I was about 12 at the time, my cousin was 14, and we kind of jumped on the bandwagon and we're trying them with them, and it was really fun. But I think that was kind of my proper taste of alcohol, and then obviously like WKD and all that kind of stuff. Who was the first person to text you today? The first person to text me today was, I don't know, let's see, Max. So my boyfriend was the first person to text me today, and that was at like 1:30, like 2 o'clock, so that's so depressing. I get 0 texts. Who was your first grade teacher? So in England we don't really have grades, we have years, but my year 1 teacher was a lady called Miss Nursel. I actually really remember her. Her name was Sally, and I always remember because back then, like, they had yogurts and they'd have like names on it, and one of the yogurts was Sally Strawberry, and I always remember being like, oh, it's your name. So yeah, but I think she's married. I don't think she's called Miss Nurse anymore, but she was really nice. I really remember her. Where did you go on your first ride on an aeroplane? Me and Mum were talking about this like a month ago or so, I think, because my first memory of being on holiday and being abroad is Portugal. But I think the first place I actually went abroad was Lanzarote when I was literally like tiny. So that was probably my first time on an aeroplane. My first word, I'm not actually really sure. One of my very early words was church. But I'm not really sure. I might call my mum and ask. That's what I'm gonna do. Hi, I'm just doing a video, but what, really quickly, what was my first word?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh.
I should know that, shouldn't I?
Probably. Yeah.
It'll be in your baby book, what your first word was.
Was one of my early words like church?
Yes, one of your very early words. It wasn't your first, but
Yeah.
it was one of your early ones.
Okay.
See you, honey.
See you.
Bye.
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 So she doesn't know, which is great. What was the first thing you did this morning? The first thing I did this morning was, I was staying at my friend's house, so I went and got into bed with her and we had a cuddle. What was the first concert you ever went to? The first concert I ever went to, I think, was Take That, which is so lame. It can't have, I really don't know. I'm really not sure what the first concert I went to is. First broken bone. The first and only bone I've ever broken is I fractured my elbow. I was on a tricycle at kind of like nursery, kindergarten, about 3.5 years old, and a boy pushed me off my tricycle and I fractured my elbow. First piercing was like just my bottom lobe, which I think kind of is everyone's kind of first piercing. What was your first detention? I think I've only actually ever had 1 or like maybe 2 detentions, which is when I was like 14, 15. And I think it was basically just like I was late handing in my physics homework or something so petty like that. Who was your first roommate? I've never actually had a roommate because I've never shared a room with anyone, obviously. I I went to boarding school for sixth form. We had our own rooms, so I've never really had a roommate, and then you never got my own room. So yeah, I've never had a roommate. If you had one wish, what would it be? World peace. What was the first sport you were involved in? I think the first sport I was involved in was like maybe hockey. I used to like really try and get involved in sports at school. Well, I say tried, like I did try. I thought they were like really cool, but I was just so bad at all of them, like hockey, tennis, swimming, athletics. I tried to get on the athletics team, like went to all the training. I'm not good at athletics. Oh my gosh, no, what's wrong with me? Obviously, the first sport I ever got into and I was involved in was trampolining. I started when I was like 5, and then I stopped like having training when I was like 13, and then I restarted again like 14, 15, and then like 14, 15 to 16 I went training, and I used to teach like the little ones, obviously. And when I was younger, I did like competitions, and I did all like the grades and all the training stuff. Yeah, trampolining. Obviously. What is the first thing you do when you get home? The first thing I do when I get home is put my trackies on, put my hair up, take my makeup off, and get into bed and make a cup of tea. I'm a massive home girl. I love being in my trackies, my hair up. Nothing beats it. Yeah, so that is the first time tag. I also filmed a video on this makeup look, which will be up on my channel very soon, so keep an eye out on Instagram and stuff for that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also please subscribe if you haven't already. Bye! Blah.